Welcome back to the Opposition podcast number. We just went through this, Rukshan. What number are we?
We think it's 25.
We know it's 25 because Benji just told us it's 25.
I don't trust anything Benji says, but okay.
It's true. It's true. It is very hard to trust. I am getting feedback on mine.
Oh, here we go. I thought we had it all ironed out.
We had it all done, but I think what we actually have on is the pod. I love how
As you can see, guys, Avi is still struggling. This is like a ritual almost. Every time we start one of these podcasts, you will see Avi now having technical difficulties. And
the best part is it's the same problem that we had last time. I literally did not learn my lesson.
The same thing.
My wife often says I'm like Homer Simpson. I touch the hot plate over and ouch, ouch, ouch. It's not funny, Rukshan.
But it's all sorted now?
It's all sorted. And we have an exciting show tonight. So welcome everybody that's joining us on whatever platform you're joining us on tonight. And yes, this week we actually have the one and only Pauline Hanson. I know we promised it last week. I think it was like a dangling carrot. We were dangling it in front of everyone so they actually watch us. And it worked last week, but we realized we couldn't pull the same trick twice.
Yeah. Well, I was actually telling you we should just put these posts up with high profile guests coming on just so people tune in to watch us, and then we're like, oh, sorry guys.
I like people making excuses for me too. I'm a bit jet lagged. Thank you very much. We do have Pauline Hanson. In fact, we have a really exciting evening, and we did things a little bit different this time because Pauline didn't want to let us down again, and she had some travel commitments tonight. So we actually pre-recorded with Pauline, which was lucky, Rukshan, because we realized in the second half of it, Pauline said something that very may well get us banned off some of the platforms that this is streaming to. So this is what we're going to do tonight. I think God has our back. What we're going to do tonight is we're streaming everywhere the first half of it. So whatever platform you're watching on this, you'll be able to see the first half. Then we're going to give you a couple minutes, and you can do it now if you want. We're going to move only to the free speech platform. So X, so that's Rukshan's X, my X, or Rumble, the Rebel News Rumble, it's streaming there too. Otherwise, TheOpposition.show, the live stream will be running there the whole time. Streaming on that designated page. So just click the latest post there. It'll be there. And what we're also going to do tonight on the second half when Pauline finishes is we're going, and this is an idea that I had with my show that I've started, the Yemeni Report. That's also on Rebel News. You can check that out on Tuesday nights. Rukshan was actually quite jealous.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched the whole thing and I felt like there was something missing. A certain lack of diversity. I know you had Morgan C. Jonas as your co-host on that one, but it was just too white. So
too white.
I think I should contact the Human Rights Commission or something like this.
Make a complaint
and get this sorted out.
Under 18C, you should sue us both. We told you to go back to Thursday nights. So you can actually. So Rukshan saw the idea that we had there. He was very excited by it. And he's been begging me ever since. He wants to engage with some of the audience, not just by these comments that I have to manage. Somebody said something about a Tyson fight. I don't know, so I'm just going to put it on screen. So I've got to manage it. Anyways, on the second half, after Pauline, we're going to invite viewers to join us. The way you're going to be able to do that is only through TheOpposition.show, through the website. There's a little button. I will show you at the time when we change over. So for now, you're good to watch it on any platform. You can make your comments on X and YouTube, and I'll bring them up as we're going through. Then, before Pauline gets us kicked off the platforms, we are going to have a minute break or 2-minute break to allow people to go over to the free speech platforms. And we'll also give you the opportunity to go on to and sign on at TheOpposition.show. You've actually got to become a Rebel News Plus member to be able to actually be on the screen with us tonight. Later, that's at the end. I'll go through it again then. But for now, is there anything you want to add before we get into this?
No, that's awesome. So definitely, guys, you should be jumping on X and Rumble anywhere, right? So it just makes it so much easier. And it's so great that we have these platforms now where we can actually speak freely. So I think X also has a TV app. So if you have a Google TV or something like this, they have an app now that you can watch on your television as well. So you can check out all those things. But yeah, let's get it underway with the actual, this is the opposition podcast, Avi, and this is someone, I like saying this, but someone that's been the actual opposition in Parliament for a long time, for a lot of the crazy stuff that we've seen over many decades. So it's very, exciting to have Senator Pauline Hanson, join our show. So enjoy, everyone, and we'll see you midway.
It was a great conversation. Enjoy, guys, and yep, we'll see you midway. I've just got to find it. Senator, thank you for joining us. Firstly, I think we have to start on last week because I know a lot of the viewers only tuned in because they expected to see your face and they got some Jew who tried to pass off as you. How are things? We know you got hit last week by the storm, so I hope you're okay. Can you share with us how'd you go?
Yeah, no, it was actually, we had a blackout for a couple of hours, so I'm fine. Well, if he stood in for me, he might have got away part of it if he's got red hair. Apart from that, no, they would not have accepted it. So anyway, it's good to be with you today. Thanks for having me on your program.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. I know one of your staff were messaging me that there was flooding as well as the power. It wasn't that bad?
Well, the power was out, but the storm was just pouring down, and it was terrible. I had it all coming through, the rain coming through the window, soaking my carpet. So it was bedlam at that time, and I was not in the mood to sit down and do a concentrated, lengthy interview with you when I had this all going around me.
Fair enough.
No,
that makes sense.
No, it makes it. Look, as somebody that built a house through COVID, I think my biggest fear is probably flooding. And I have 4 kids, and part of that is ensuring they know how to turn the taps off. Anyways, the issues that bother us, well, we'll get straight into it. Obviously, we did plan to have you last week, which some of these issues were more fresh then, but I think they're still newsworthy. The US election, how are you feeling about the result?
I'm so delighted, so elated, so happy with Trump winning. I thought he would. They said it was very close, but listening to what was the main issue in America, and that was actually immigration. And when they had over 3 million people that were coming across the border and still pouring in lead up to the election, and it was a big issue for Americans and the cost of living. So Americans realised, and the question was, are you better off now under Biden than you were under Trump? And the feedback that I was hearing was Americans were saying, no, we aren't. The country's in worse shape now. So Americans actually really gave it some thought. And Trump, having gone through those 2 assassination attempts, possibly a third one, and they saw him as a fighter for the American people, and that's what they want. And not only that, if you look at his opponent, Kamala Harris, she was hopeless. She couldn't actually do the interview. She couldn't answer the questions. People want strong leadership. Although a lot of people complain about Trump and the comments that he makes, I still believe that people want people who are decisive in their decisions, what they say, show that leadership, can have an opinion, and are forceful. And that's what people are looking for, because the world is in one hell of a mess.
Well, I don't know if you were watching, but I actually travelled in the lead up for an entire month across America, talking just to the average person, doing a bit of what we do, the shtick we do in Melbourne, in Australia. We decided to bring it to America. I travelled across in an RV, which I will never do again. I am too precious for that, Pauline. And but we travelled the whole, like a big chunk of the country, through the country, just talking to average people. And I remember I did a few interviews here on radio, and they were talking about, commentators in Australia were talking about how it's close, but Kamala's got it. And I'm just thinking, you guys are so deluded, because just the mood on the ground, there were 3 issues that mattered to people. The 2 most important were cost of living, which is similar to here. Immigration was probably number between one and two, depends who you talk to. So those two issues. And then the third one, whichever side of the divide you were on, was abortion. But those two top issues, I was like, that's what matters to people. And anybody in Australia who's telling you otherwise is just fantasizing out loud, especially within the media.
Yeah. Well, Senator Hanson, I'd like to phrase it to you this way. So when it comes to election time in Australia, for instance, we don't really have that culture of, independent media. Trump was going on these podcasts. He was using X. He was really reaching to the people where the mainstream media couldn't actually, control the message like they normally do. Now, I know in Australia, obviously, it's very different. Do you think there's a disconnect between what Australians understand about what happens in Australian politics and how the parliament impacts their lives, and that message that doesn't really get through because the media in this country actually is a gatekeeper in terms of how people get information? Do you think that's an issue that we face in Australia as opposed to what Trump did in the US?
Basically, see, the media in America are very left wing, and they were actually reporting against Trump. And media have a big input into the way that people think. What I find, the majority of Australians have no understanding of politics. They don't understand local, state and federal politics. They don't understand the voting system. They don't, and especially do not understand how the preference system works. That's a big problem that we have. The major political parties do not make it priority to teach these kids in school, which should be more like they bring their children down here to Parliament in grade 6 to Parliament, but I think that should be focused more on year 11 when they're just before they're ready to vote, and we don't pay enough attention to that. So when I asked a room of 120 people, I said, look, don't be embarrassed, but who actually understand the voting system, the preference system? Of a room of 120, only about 8 put up their hand. So people don't understand the preference system. And then they say to me, well, where are your preferences going? And I said to them, no, you mark the ballot paper, it's where your preferences go. Then I have to explain to people about how the preference system works. So you see the people out there who are dumbed down, who don't understand it, are marking a ballot paper, possibly not the way that they really want it to happen. It's only because they don't know how to do it. So they're electing people into the parliament that they don't want. So until we have this education and inform people better, and it makes me, and I can tell you this, I am furious with people out there. I say to them, who name me, your 12 senators, or name me a senator. They're flat out telling me who was one of the 12 senators in their state, let alone who was their local members. And I just say, you can understand your football match. You can tell me your players, your teams, what they've won by. You watch it, and you follow it. And I said, but you can't follow politics, that these people are making policies and laws that is going to impact your life and your country for the rest of your life. And your attitude is, oh, well, so what? Couldn't care less. People need to wake up.
I think the only time that people in Australia knew who their politicians and their leaders were during COVID, when they were on the screens all the time and you couldn't avoid them. And I think people took a big interest during that time, obviously, because it was impacting your lives. But like you said, things like cost of living, these things are always impacting our lives, and people have no idea who the people are that are making these decisions. So, yeah.
Let's jump on to the reaction that One Nation has to almost everything nowadays, which brings a smile to my face. I know you've had a later episode. You guys, I don't know how long you guys have been making these cartoons. When did you start these cartoons?
3 years. We're in our third year now. Yes.
And I've got to say, Pauline, it is one of the most entertaining things around today, because I think so much of the comedy within it, and it's very cleverly written, and produced professionally and perfectly, and really it captures our politicians so well. But why do you guys do it? Why do you make a cartoon? And
well, it originally came up. James Ashby came to me with the idea, and we wanted to sort of inform the people between 18 and 35 more about politics and get people involved in politics and watch it. So anyway, that's why it was basically targeted for that age bracket. But over the period of time, we've actually found that people of all ages are tuning into the cartoons, because they love it. They are informative. People are learning. They're starting to understand a bit more about politics. And I think that's what the message is about, to inform people about the policies. Like when you talk about death duties and where the Greens want to lead with it, and which possibly the Labor Party as well, to introduce death duties. Or you talk about, what's happening with China and different things that are happening, or Albanese with these policies. And I think it's very important that people understand. Because in a satirical way, we're informing people. And I even put up a cartoon about the preference system and how it works. So, and it's got nothing about telling people how to vote for One Nation. I just want to educate people and empower people to understand, because we're in a hell of a state. We really are. The policies they're pushing down our throat, people don't understand, take away our democracy, our freedom of speech, implementing these policies. It's just not good for our country and our standard of living and way of life.
Well, let's watch it, but then I guess you can think about it while we're watching it and having a bit of a giggle, but it is so clever. I want to know what the plan is to be able to get this onto ABC, unless you manage to defund the ABC. I think there should be two options. Either we defund the ABC, or they run a daily episode of the Pauline Hanson One Nation cartoons. And I think every viewer is going to agree after watching this.
USA! USA! USA!
But this is not the last episode.
Oh no! Donald Trump just won the American election!
What's the big deal?
You don't understand, Jody. The pendulum's swinging back. Conservatives are winning everywhere, and us lefties are in big trouble. Oh no! It's the virtue signal!
The what?
I'm being summoned.
Summoned?
Summoned to lefty headquarters. Albo, you got the call? Sure did. Let's go.
Where the hell are you guys going?
We're going to the ivory tower. Comrades, listen up. We have been summoned because the left is losing. This is a dire emergency, lefties. There is no time to waste. But first, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land of which we meet today for this present and emerging. Always was.
Always will be.
Now listen up. We're losing the culture war that we started. That's impossible. We have the moral high ground. Not anymore, Joyce Soros. Take a look at this. This is our moral compass. It's all over the place. It's broken. We've lost our way. This is no laughing matter, Kamala. You were supposed to have it in the bag. But oh no, you got your Kamala ass kicked, didn't you? Now we're losing everywhere. The US, Queensland, we've even lost the city of Yarra. Hey, come on. That's the most progressive city in the world, man. Not anymore, Joe. People are waking up to wokeism. They're thinking for themselves. We can't have people thinking for themselves. Destiny, you're a smart guy. What do we do? Yeah, I think Destiny makes a really good point. I understand it. Any other ideas? Quick! Sound the climate alarm! No, Fred, everyone's sick of that thing. We need a bigger distraction. Oh, how about a magic trick then? I'm going to use this pen to rewrite history. You already tried that, Bruce Pascoe. People aren't buying our revisionist history anymore. None of our old tricks are working. Us lefties are losing it. But how can we do anything if people are thinking for themselves? We need to do something big. Follow me. Behold, the pillar of free speech. Whoa. Us lefties have been chipping away at this for years. Censorship, hate speech, pronouns, and of course the AT seesaw.
So good.
But if we really want to stop people thinking for themselves, we're going to have to destroy the pillar of free speech for good. What do you say, comrades? Yes! Let's demolish the foundation of democracy! Oh no! Society's crumbling! Oh, I didn't know he's the linchpin of liberty! Adam, look! It's Miss Senator Hanson! She's defending the pillar of free speech!
It's so good.
Why would she risk herself for us? Well, my face is red. You know, maybe us lefties should learn our lesson and stop trying to dismantle free speech and control everyone's thoughts. What? No! Now's not the time for moral revelations. Get back on the high horse. What are you saying? It's time we use the most powerful weapon we have. Name calling. Stand back, you racist, garbage, Nazi, fascist! It's not working! Okay, quick! Adam, throw the 18 seesaw at her! Okay, nothing can stop her. She's invincible. Run!
So
So good.
for people
That's
that
just
haven't
perfect.
seen that's one example, and I think they're all as good
Yeah,
as
I know. You can
that.
just pretty much watch it like a TV show, right? Like a season. Just jump on there, watch all the episodes from the last 3 years. Like Senator Hanson said, it's just brilliant because I think it brings in. Obviously, it's done as a cartoon, but it brings in so many stuff from popular culture as well that people are watching at that time, and ties it all together with this message of very simple message, around this, obviously around the misinformation bill that's happening, the US elections, all the woke stuff, all done in this 2-3 minutes. I mean, the fact that our public broadcaster, like you're saying, we can't put together entertainment like this for our people is crazy, because we should be, making fun of our politicians. We should be having fun and having these kind of discussions as well through this medium. So good on you, Senator Hanson and One Nation, for actually making such a fun cartoon like this. It's
It's
just so good.
genuinely funny. I
Yeah,
think
it's funny.
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can objectively sit back and go, look, I might not agree with the underlying messages. I don't know how you cannot, because it literally hits the nail on the head every time. But it's funny, and it should be. That's what should be broadcast. If we're paying as taxpayers to fund a broadcaster, well, I'm saying it jokingly because we know it's never going to happen. But why isn't content like that? They're happy to force us to pay via taxes to fund all these other far left wing shows that they present as comedy, but they don't even make you laugh once. They make you cringe almost the entire time. Here, you genuinely you watch 3-4 minutes of that, and I'm almost laughing the whole time. Maybe I'm easy to I'm a good audience, but I think it is funny.
Yeah, look, people pull me up all the time, whether it's at the airports and planes, meetings that I have, and they just say, love the cartoons, keep it going, please don't stop the cartoons. But anyway, it will never happen on the commercial stations that they will play it, because it's detrimental to the major political parties, because it's clear that I do have a go at them. But as I've said to them, I said, it's okay having a go at someone all the time, which I have done, Coalition and the Greens and the Labor Party. But I said, people must be informed what One Nation stands for. So, people are fed up with those that whinge all the time, but what's your solutions? And I think that moving forward, I'd like people to know what our policies are, what we'd like to do, but how do we put that into cartoons? So that's something that we're actually thinking about.
That's a good idea, but I guess we can move straight on to the next issue so we can keep going. Rudd. So today he's saying, and this is all in the context of the US election, so the natural segue from your cartoon, and when we're talking about funny jokes, I think Kevin Rudd is the perfect next subject. What's your reaction to him saying that he's now ready after everything to work with Trump?
Well, he knows that he's on the back foot here, because he's taken down his tweets and comments that he's made about Trump previously. Rudd's an egotistical, it's all about Rudd, narcissistic, egotistical, and it's all about Rudd. And he's in a position now that he's very happy to be there. Albanese made it quite clear he doesn't intend to pull Rudd. But then again, Trump may be the person who says, I'm not working with you. So what's going to happen then? I just watch this space and see what happens next year. Trump's copped hell of a backlash. And I tell you, if I was in Trump's position, I wouldn't have anything to do with Rudd. I'd say, no, you made it quite clear, your feelings about me. And I thought, why do I have to deal with you? So I hope that and I don't know the situation because he's been appointed to that position for years. So it'll be interesting to see if he is pulled out of the position because he can't work with the US. And also, if Dutton wins the next election, will he be replaced?
Well,
why is I was going to say, why is Albanese being so, I guess, loyal to, like, what's the point of it? Because
even Dutton,
like the easiest thing to do.
Acting loyal to him?
Oh, is he acting loyal as well?
He was, at least. I think he shifted when he saw so much public outrage.
I don't know why it matters. Like, most Australians would look at this and be like, well, he said all this stuff. It makes complete sense to replace him.
Just think about it. He's got him out of the country. He doesn't have to put up with him here. So he got him over in America, so he doesn't have to deal with Rudd. So the whole fact is, also, the Labor Party is run by the union factions. Who's to say that he had his hands tied, that he had to appoint Rudd? So there's all different things that are going behind the scenes that we don't know anything about. So
I really like that explanation.
That go to Rudd. Who knows that coming up through the chain that Rudd didn't give Albanese, positions of being minister in the Rudd government, that it's payback time now. This happens all the time in politics. So it's either you send them overseas on ambassadorships just to get rid of them out of the country because they're a pain in your backside, or it's a payback for what they've done previously in the parliament.
So I can empathise with the Labor government, the Labor Party, wanting to ship him off overseas so they don't have to deal with him. I haven't heard that explanation. It makes perfect sense to me, actually, looking at it now, because I've been trying to rack my brain as to the real reason why. Nothing makes sense. Why would you be so loyal to somebody who they all backstab each other? It's not like the Labor Party is the most loyal party to each other, so it would seem like the easiest thing. But it makes sense to me now that you actually say that you think that it may have to do with them just being happy for him to be shipped off. But surely the Australian public matters more. The average person, we don't know if it's going to be detrimental. Look at watching how Trump operates. It could be, but he also is very forgiving. You look at a lot of the people that come into even J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was someone who a few years ago was heavily critical of Donald Trump, and not only did he accept that he legitimately changed, he put him in the second top position, which I love, because Vance has turned out to be an amazing guy.
But that's different. That's a different situation, because Trump is actually putting people around him that's going to benefit his position and being president of the United States. Totally different. He doesn't need Rudd there. What's he going to gain out of Rudd?
Absolutely, and so I think it's two.
Yeah.
I look at it, I see two issues there. One, he's doing what's in the best interest of the American people. So we should be doing what's in the best interest of the Australian people. And secondly, J.D. Vance did a full 180. He came around and he said, I was wrong, and this is what's so great about Trump. We're not seeing that from Rudd. So, and we know Rudd doesn't believe that, and Trump will know that Rudd doesn't believe it. So it means, can Rudd really advocate for Australia when, even if he walks into the room, the person that he has to convince, for example, on tariffs, is a guy that can be petty? Like, I love Trump, but he can be petty. So you have a guy that can be petty, that holds all the power, that could potentially punish Australia because really he wants to punish Rudd. Why would we put ourselves in that position?
I don't see Trump is going to punish Australia. He'll just say, I can't work with Rudd. It's not punishing Australia.
No. That's rewarding Australia. But
he had a great working relationship with Joe Hockey. All right. So it is going to come down to personality here. It's going to depend on how much Rudd kisses Trump's boots to see how much he gets into the White House.
But if Trump says he can't work with him,
watch this space. Let's see how much Rudd grovels to Trump to keep his job and his position. So anyway,
but even if Trump says he can't work with him, if the Australian government say no, that's our ambassador, what happens in that position? Is it not the Australian government gets to decide?
It is the Australian government that gets to decide. But if they don't get him through the door, what do? Do you keep hitting your head up against the brick wall?
That's my question. It seems like this government might.
No, like I said, we can only surmise and guess here what the outcome is going to be. Maybe Trump will do it to work with him. But anyway,
if you were boss, what would you do?
Working with Kevin Rudd?
If you were PM?
I can't stand the man.
We will ship him off somewhere else. Where will we send him as an ambassador? Because
if you were
prime minister, we want to keep him here.
Yeah, if you're prime minister and you also don't want him back home, where would you put him? What would you do with Rudd if you were prime minister?
Put him in retirement. Put him in a paddock.
In a paddock. Love it. Okay, I think you're going to get a lot of support for that one. Now, let's shift over, bring the screen back up. So, kill the bill, that has been a big thing. Firstly, I want to ask you, because we started this campaign, I think the day before you were going to come on last week, so just over a week ago, and we've had, I think, close to 25,000 people fill in. So what we did was we actually set up a little automated form thing at killthebill.com.au where you could literally, you put in your postcode, and then it fines your senators because nobody knows who actually represents them, like you mentioned before, and it's got a pre-drafted email about why that senator should vote against the disinformation bill. You can either edit it or you can send it as is. Now, we saw through our system, we've had like 25,000 people in Australia send them out. That means you would have been inundated. So I'm not going to sit here and apologise because I imagine you probably got a lot of emails through that as well. It depends which state was mostly filling them out. Firstly, can you give us an update on how you're feeling? Because it does look like this bill may be dead in the water. I think that pressure coming from all sides. Hopefully, I'm hoping our campaign had something to do with that as well. But the pressure clearly is getting to a lot of those crossbenchers, those ones that we weren't sure about, and they're coming out saying they're not going to support it. So an update on that. And also, did you get a lot of emails on this issue?
We did. Wherever I go, I was in Western Australia a couple of weeks ago. People would just ask me constantly all the time, where are we at with the bill? They're angry about it. They're furious because their freedom of speech has been denied them and taken away from them if this bill gets passed. Malcolm Roberts and I were the first ones to come out against this bill. Common sense would tell you when you understand legislation, what they're wanting to put before the Parliament. We do our research, you understand it, you read it. And clearly on the first reading of it, it was not right. So we led the charge on this, as we were, and I was the first one to come out against the COVID. I was the first one to come out against the Voice, because common sense tells you these are not right for the Australian people. It was only because we informed the Australian people, brought it to their awareness of what was in the bill and what they were proposing. But also, it was the Liberal Party that first wanted to introduce this bill in 2019. It was the Liberal Party bill. Anyway, it didn't pass the Parliament, come before the Parliament, but the Libs were working on it. Because of the public backlash now, the Libs have pulled their heads in and they know they can't support this. So where it's now is that it will come down to Lydia Thorpe, David Pocock, Jackie Lambie, Tammy Tyrrell, basically those, and Payman, of whether this bill gets up or not. Now, these are people I don't trust as far as I can throw them, because I don't think they really know what the hell they're talking about, and most of them are to the left. People might say, oh, Jackie Lambie's absolutely wonderful. Over 80% of the time, Jackie Lambie votes with the Labor and the Greens. So does Pocock. Most of the time, he's probably in the 90%, he votes with the Labor and Greens, and Tammy Tyrrell does as well. So they're all lefties. So they're playing the card now, look at us, we're actually going to control this, where this bill gets passed or not. And I think they should be upfront with the people. So what I've done now is that I'm putting up a notice of motion on Monday. It's already on the books now, so they're aware of it. So on Monday, we're going to put up a notice motion to put it to the vote to kill the bill before it actually gets debated or it gets voted on. That means if this wins the vote in the Senate on Monday, this bill cannot be presented to the Parliament. And why I'm doing that is because I want, if they don't want this bill presented to the Parliament, that tells me they're opposing the bill. So they want it thrown out. But if they actually vote with Labor, these people that I've named, or any of the crossbench votes with Labor, that shows they're in support of the bill. So the people they'll know who they are. Then the people of Australia then have an opportunity to inundate their office and tell them they won't be voting for them at the next election.
Well, so that's a very interesting way of doing it, because I think online I'm seeing a lot of sentiment shift where people are like almost relieved that it's not going to happen anymore, because Payman, Thorpe, they've all put up these videos saying they're opposed to it. So what you guys are doing on One Nation is putting it to them beforehand and really testing them on what they've said, because you're saying possibly when it comes to voting day, otherwise they might have done a deal, they might be a bit shady and change and really screw over the Australian people.
That's exactly what Pocock has done in the past. and especially on the industrial relations, whereas he was posing it with all the crossbenchers, and I tried to get him to do a media conference with us that we're all standing united together. That was on the Thursday. By the Sunday, he did a deal with Labor, and he supported Labor on the industrial relations bill. I don't trust him. This has happened all the time, and I'll tell you another thing that they'll do. They'll leave the bill to the last day on Thursday, they guillotine, then they just rush everything through without debate or actually sending it to the proper vote. So this is what's going to happen again. So I'm actually going to put them all on the spot, and so the people of Australia know exactly what they're getting out of their members of parliament.
I like it, and I think that's an example of why it's so important to have real conservative or libertarians or people that you actually believe in their politics, most of the time, rather than relying on. I got to say, when we saw some of those people you mentioned, some of those senators you mentioned, post those videos, even I couldn't help but be relieved and go, "Oh wow, even Payman, even Payman's voting against it." But yeah, I don't trust them, and I do know that these people make deals, and part of that is also, they've got their own personal little jab and control that they want to show Labor. Payman was from the Labor Party, so she's suddenly got the balance of power that she must be enjoying, and I'm sure they also know how to play her as well.
Balance of power. There's quite a few of us on the crossbench that we've all got the shared balance of power. But anyway, enough of the.
No. I mean, she's coming from Labor. She's suddenly, she's always followed them, and then she's got a situation here that's not Israel. That she can suddenly go, "Oh no, I don't agree with Labor," and they need to come grovelling to her and offer her some backroom deal. Like all the ones that they can flip. So it is important to have people in there that won't waver. And people could say a lot of things, whatever. There's a lot that they can say about you, Pauline, but I think consistency has always been something that you've always held. On no matter what issue, you've always been consistent, and I think that's possibly one of the reasons why you're so hated. And I would argue that in the last. No, by the left. Sorry.
I'm afraid of their side. I'm a thorn in their backside. I know.
Exactly. That's why they hate you. That's why people love you as well. That's why people say. That's why people look at you and from the right and they go, well, who is the one person, for example, on this issue, on the misinformation bill, that has never said that censorship is a good idea, whereas the Liberal Party, like you say, this was their bill. The e-safety commissioner is their woman. Like, we go on about this crazy e-safety commissioner. It is a Liberal Party person. Like, even though she is, they are shooting themselves in the foot because all this legislation, all these people, even 18C, all these issues are only going to come at the right. It's never going to hit the left. And I've never understood why the Liberal Party support it and sometimes conceive these ideas that the Labor Party then jump on and run with and double down on. But we need people like you who consistently, from the beginning, even when it's unpopular, now it's become popular to stand against this bill. We need people like you who are going to stand against it.
Look, just to tell the people out there, I'm so privileged to have this position, and I was voted in by the people of Queensland because they want me to be their representative. To be a member of Parliament is that you have to have the interests of the country and the people at heart, and you're working for them. It's not about my position here. At my age, at 70, I can probably just retire and go and have a wonderful life. But I have made a commitment to the Australian people. I'm here without fear or favour, and I look at the legislation based on its merit, and I will vote accordingly. And I don't do those deals. Sometimes in the previous government, when they wanted my support on a bill, they were going to get it anyway. But the whole fact is that when I could get that extra road funding, or I could get a hospice put in Rockhampton, central Queensland, or I got a pipeline up in Townsville, and the different bits of funding, I took it for the people of Queensland. And also, not in that, we actually got an MRI scanner for Kalgoorlie. We've got other things done, the PFAS. We've got funding for that for those people affected by PFAS. So we've got so many things that we've achieved for the people of Australia, beneficial things that they've really needed. So it's a matter of, I look at legislation based on its merit. And I want accountability. I want truth and honesty for the people. And, the Liberal Party, you talk about the Liberal Party. Well, they've there's so many progressives and lefties in the Liberal Party that they're drifting away from the conservative values. What I do is I force them and I pull them back to the centre for the conservative values, because they're appeasing all those lefties, those ones, the swingings in the middle. So whether it's the Aboriginal industry, the transgender industry, the dysphoria, the LGBTQ, immigration, the whole bloody lot of it.
LGBTIQ. I like you adding letters in there because it's fun. That's what they do.
I know, LGBT, whatever. I don't give a damn about it. It just.
You're talking about Rukshan's community here. You need to be more respectful, Pauline.
That's right. So they're all appealing to them. Sorry.
You're talking about Rukshan's community. We need to be more mindful.
STQI, I don't know.
STQI, that's a Sri Lankan.
Senator Hanson, I'd love to know. So, you're talking about legislation, and Anthony Albanese has been defeated on so many fronts in terms of The Voice. Looks like the misinformation bill now. In terms of what he's done for the Australian people, it looks like just complete failure when it comes to these big issues that they've really spent a lot of time on. And a lot of the time, it's been wasteful, useless things that most Australians don't really even care about. How has it come to this where the government that's in power right now, Albanese's Labor government, is so hyper-focused on things that don't really impact everyday Australians and their lives that they're going through?
Well, only policies that don't make an impact, like his housing policy, and put $10 billion into this fund. And for $33 million, and that was months ago, was paid in administration, not one house built. He won't achieve it. It's all rhetoric. It's all pie-in-the-sky dreams. It's trying to get the people on board who believe this that he's going to build this house. They possibly can't do it. They don't have the tradies in Australia to actually do it. They don't have the materials. So it's rubbish. All this climate change BS that's out there, it's and not going with nuclear, or even have the debate on nuclear, which is now lost to the Australian people. And if you're worried about the environment, you would look at where, having a diversity of different power that is going to reduce our emissions if you're worried about the environment. But he's not, and he's heading down the path. So you're going to look at possibly $700 billion to $1 trillion to put in his transmission lines and keep focusing on solar and wind, which is actually costing our economy. And it's not cheaper power. Your power bills are going up. Wake up, people. He's not there for you. He's doing deals for his union mates, for the superannuation companies that are held by the unions, is actually then getting offsets by the government policies and legislation, which is subsidising them. These big corporations coming out in investment, we're subsidising them to the tune of up to $50 billion so far. People need to wake up to this, and you're paying for it. We're losing industries, manufacturing, cost of living's going up constantly all the time, because due to power prices. Get the power prices down, cost of living will actually go down.
I'd argue that much of they're so out of touch, and that's part of what happened in the US. I think is that they play these games that they focus on, The Voice, all woke identity politics, and the public just really cares about cost of living. And the public, if they really believed that going solar was going to help the planet and wasn't just a green scam. Most people, if it didn't cost an arm and a leg and you could afford it, would be happy to do it. But the problem is here, a lot of people are seeing through what seems to be, scams to make a certain industry rich. And then on top of it, they're telling us it's going to cost less, it's going to be cheaper, but I'm getting the bill every month and it's getting more and more expensive. Like I said, in America, when I was walking around, the cost of living, people were just saying to me, under Trump, no matter what you say about him, under Trump, that era, I was earning more and it was costing me less to live. I want to go back to that. I don't care about all this transgender stuff that you keep going on about. I don't care about all the woke policies and ideas. I just want to get back to basics. I don't care about even the green, the Green New Deal, all these things. It's the same thing that's applying here. And I feel like the pendulum may swing here as well. But I can see we've got on screen here already, Pauline. Obviously, this story's come out last night. So, and I know that this is you've got an appeal afoot. So, say whatever you can or can't say. I hope you're all right. Just reading this headline, I'm a bit confused. I think that they meant racial discrimination. What happened? She cut out. That's all right. It's all right. So this was actually the point in which we lost Pauline at first, but it was like we told you in the beginning. If you tuned in the beginning, we told you there's a second half, or it's not half, but there's a second part to this interview. I've got my glasses on because I was moderating comments. I wasn't just.
That was pretty good, man. The comments are good. I noticed you put a lot of negative comments towards me. So
yeah, mostly negative towards you. I threw in a couple towards me to make it look like it's. But if you actually look at the real comments, it's mostly negative to me, always positive to you. But that's the power that is the power I wield with my glasses and I think. But I think we should get somebody actually on the comments properly because that was actually a lot of fun. Full-time gig.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to actually watch it with the comments streaming in and getting people's different views. Well,
let's have a chat about it because we'll give people a minute to change over. So what's going to happen now, guys, is in the next few minutes, we are going to come off YouTube and Facebook. You're only going to be able to tune in on X or on Rumble. On X, you'll still be able to comment, at least for her part. Once the interview's over, we're going to go into interactive. So we're going to invite people to actually come on the stream with us for a minute or so each. But the way you do that, I will actually show you here how to do that. So like I said, to the end of Pauline's interview, X and Rumble, it'll be streaming. The rest of it will be streaming X and Rumble, as well as TheOpposition.show on the actual website. If you want to come in and have a chat with me and Rukshan in real life, what you need to do...
And maybe just let people know, some people I'm seeing the comments are asking why we're doing this. So the reason is obviously because... give the reason, bro.
Okay, so the reason why we're splitting the second half is because we said it in the beginning, but for those of you that were late to the game, do you want to tell them off, Rukshan?
No, it's basically just obviously, Facebook, YouTube... they are censorship heavy, and depending on even just normal conversations about things that we should be able to talk about, obviously they'll find ways to silence certain podcasts or certain content creators. So we are facing a similar situation. There's perhaps it's a possibility. So we're just being careful and just switching over to more freedom-oriented platforms when it comes to speech. So X and Rumble, and also the website for the Opposition Show. So you can continue on as you were. Just switch over to them, and Avi's going to show you now how to
sign up. If you want to come on and chat with us. Look, the comment that she makes, potentially, if it was on TV, it would probably pass, but because it's on ours, it'll be an excuse for them to nuke us. Rumble doesn't even... Is the website working now? Let's check now. All right, I'll bring it on with you. No, just one screen, mate. If you're gonna press the button... Benji's pressing buttons and already inviting guests on. Yes, that's what happens when he gets excited. All right, so here we are. Well, we go down to the Safari, and then you go TheOpposition.show.
I don't think it's typing.
Oh, well, wrong keypad. I now can't even blame that on Benji. The Opposition.show, as you can, let me bring up that screen so people can see. Oh, start again. Let's just, how do you...
Do you want to put your glasses back on?
Oh no, I need my glasses again. How do you zoom in on this thing? Anyways, you can't. So it's TheOpposition.show, and it'll bring you to this, which this I should be able to make bigger, can't I? Yeah, there we go. It wasn't making the other thing bigger. And then you go to the last episode, which is this one that's up tonight. Guys, so people who are saying that it's not working, let's see. That'll give you the Rumble. It gives you an
The
ad
bottled
first,
water industry hates when you do
and then
this,
it should come
but they
onto
can't
this
do a
and it'll
damn thing
probably
about
freak
it.
out
This
because-
bottle can slow
just
aging,
so you know,
boost your energy,
that's
and
the
protect
button.
your cells from disease.
So click here,
It
so
makes
you've just got to
overpriced
subscribe
bottled water
to
a thing
join
of
the
the
show.
past. It's been
It'll get
sold
you
out
to
on
join,
Amazon and Walmart
and then
multiple
once you've
times.
joined, you can
Wellness
actually
experts can't stop
come
raving
on
about it.
with myself
Now,
and Rukshan.
the
Let's just
company
make
is
sure
cutting
this
out
is
the middleman.
actually working.
It's sold over.
This little known hack
Another
purifies
ad.
your
Rumble's
water.
really
and
smashing
doesn't
you're
want
running
you to know
ads
this.
with
A
these
tech
ads.
genius is
You can
bringing
also watch it on
military-grade
X,
purification.
guys.
Oh, here you
And
go.
then
Then you go
There you go,
to
Inception.
the last episode, which is this one that's up.
So it's working.
It works. So whoever's complaining is making up nonsense.
No, and you don't have to sign up to watch it. So you can continue watching it on Rumble and on
You can
X.
even watch it here. You don't have to sign up to watch. So
Yeah, you
watching
don't have to
it,
sign up
you
to watch.
can.
The sign up is if you want to call into the show. It's just a way to, I guess, ensure that we don't just put out a link so anyone can just call in. So if you want to call into the show.
Yeah, so the
just
idea is,
right?
we can't open it to tens of thousands. Well, right now, what are we on? There's almost 5,000 people on. We're not going to put a link that all 5,000 people can join. If you want to join us, subscribe to Rebel Plus. That'll give you, that'll turn that link into a join the show. You'll end up in a waiting room. I'll see you here. And in the last 20 minutes, so after Pauline's finished, if anybody's there wanting to join, we will bring you in to have the conversation. I reckon we are good to. What do you reckon? Should we?
Yeah. So
one
guys,
second, I've got to pull down. Hold on.
Start pulling them down. But
I'm
jump on
going to start pulling it off different platforms now.
On X, you can find us on @Avi or @TheRealRukshan. You'll find the X stream happening. But the easiest one is TheOpposition.show. So HTTPS TheOpposition.show, and you can just watch the Rumble link there. I'm seeing in the comments that Bitcoin is hitting a whole all-time new high, so that's always very good. What else is happening in the comments while we're waiting?
You keep doing that while I make sure we remove this off all. It's working, but it takes a second.
Yeah.
So maybe have a chat then, and
a lot of people are switching over. So look, guys, it's a shame that you have to do this, but obviously, we live in this controlled space where these major mainstream platforms are so obsessed with controlling our access to information that they will just shut down any type of, very valid debate often. Obviously, we saw the extremities of that over the last few years, and we're seeing, a push by not just these corporations like YouTube or Google, Facebook, Meta, but also even our government wanting to get their hands in on this